It's a pain in the butt. There's a lot of accidents that get caused. I don't like driving through construction, and I think it'd be better if it was at nighttime.
Well, I mean, you have to maintain the public roads and, the curbs and, repaving and everything else. I mean, I know that the people do not enjoy potholes, so I mean, it's obviously nice when it's a nice smooth road that's been well maintained.
Took a long time to get from the south to the north through the summer sometimes because of the bridge construction and repair and that sort of thing. So it's been a bit disruptive this year.
We've all driven through it, we've all been late because of it, and we've all seen those thank you signs for putting up with it. Today, we talk road construction. The season is short, and as a result, many of these projects overlapped throughout the summer months. As we enter fall, most of these projects have or will wrap up for the year, and we learn what it was all for as we look ahead to what comes next. Snow season. Keeping our roads safe and free-flowing in the winter months has its challenges. Will this summer's road construction projects impact the upcoming snow removal season? Let's discuss these hot-button issues right here, right now. Hi, and welcome to the show. I'm Jonna Semple, and today on What Matters, we're talking about something I'm sure every Red Deerian has experienced this summer, driving through road construction. Joining us to talk a little bit more and shed some light on the topic is Frank Colosimo, the Engineering Services Manager for the City of Red Deer. Thank you so much for being here with us. Now, Red Deerians have been driving through lots of construction, and I'm sure they're all thinking, what's going on? So let's start with Taylor. What exactly is going on with Taylor?
Sure. I mean, it's been a great year this year. We've had some great weather, and we've been doing a little project out there. We've been looking at trying to improve some of the issues we've had with capacity in the area. We had some issues with we want to get people to be able to cross Taylor Drive a little bit more smoother. So we're actually looking at improving that intersection. We're reconfiguring the intersection as a whole. So what we're really doing is making it a three-legged intersection. It's so now when you drive north and south through Red Deer, you'll be able to keep on Taylor Drive, and that'll be a nice straight-through movement, as opposed to having to take a really ugly, congested left-handed turn to head northbound on Taylor Drive.
That's great. Now, obviously, there's a lot of planning that goes into such a major project like that beforehand. Can you talk a little bit about the planning process?
Sure. I mean, a project like that, it doesn't just happen overnight. It takes about 2-3 years with their planning to do it. We evaluate what the best options are to address some problems that we've seen in the field. From there, we try and focus on one that's the best for the community, not only just the motorists and the pedestrians, but also for the surrounding businesses and the long-term plans and visions for the downtown. From there, we brought it to council, and we asked council if they thought the same things that we thought where the road was the best solution for the area. They did, and then we actually get into detailed design. And that process is, like I said, is about 2.5 years it takes us, and then construction's happening, the bulk of it this summer, and then we have a little bit carried over for next year, the landscaping and the final prep work on things.
So obviously you just talked about traffic flow, pedestrians, all of that good stuff, but what is the overall goal at the end of all of this? What is hopefully going to be achieved?
Sure. I mean, there's two big goals we want to have through here. One is we're trying to improve the pedestrian flow through the area. So right now, if you walk through the downtown, try to get across Taylor Drive, there's no crossing Taylor Drive at this intersection. It's just so congested. So we made that a high priority, is to improve pedestrian flow through the downtown. Secondarily, on this project, probably a nice big benefit of it is to actually improve that congestion of that area. Right now, if we try to keep it status quo and keep a 4-lane intersection with the 2 left turn lanes, we know within the next short time, within the next 10 years or so, we're going to have to be looking and talking about, do we need to make this a triple left turn lane, which no one wants to do. It would just function very poorly in the area. And on top of that, at some point in time, we're going to have to start 6-laning Taylor Drive Bridge if we try to keep the conventional intersection 4-legged. The solution that we're bringing forward is one that makes it simplifies the movements. makes it a three-legged intersection, so we don't have to do those six laning of the Taylor Drive Bridge. We don't have to go and do a triple left, so we can actually have a nice, simpler intersection through that area.
So with construction, it always seems to take, road construction always seems to take a long time, but there's lots of things, I'm sure, that go into, redesigning roads that maybe you don't see once it's done. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Absolutely. I mean, if you take a look at our Taylor Drive project, I mean, at the end of the day, I think when you go and use the area, if you walk it, you're going to notice the new sidewalks, the new 3-meter wide pathways in the area. You're going to notice the new crosswalks. If you drive it, you're going to see some nice black, fresh asphalt that's going to look great. But what you're not going to see is the work below it. It starts right down from the from pipes that we put in the ground 10 feet deep. That's going to drain the stormwater when it rains. When the snow melts, it's going to drain that away. We also have utilities in the roadway. We have franchise utilities, so that could be your gas, your power, your telephone in the area. All that stuff has to get relocated, worked around, or it gets upgraded. Not only is our road an old infrastructure, the utilities below the ground are old infrastructures, be it city-owned sanitary storm lines or be it the franchise utilities. A construction project like this is an opportunity to rehabilitate or rejuvenate those older infrastructure. So that goes on. What the average person doesn't also see is the amount of material that we have to import to put new gravel, rock product down to support the weight of the vehicles driving over the area. Then we do the final asphalt and such. So it's a pretty big project.
Right, and when you put it all that way, it sounds very impressive that you're getting it done in the time frame that you are. So turning our attention to the work happening at 55th, that turned Gates down into one lane for a little bit. What's happening there?
Sure. On 55th Street, what you're seeing there is probably one of our older roadways in the city. That, as you know, is part of the historic downtown area there. Not only did it service Lindsay Thurber and the Memorial Center area there, but some of our older neighborhoods in the city. That road is probably reaching the end of its life. If you've driven through it, you've probably noticed over the few years there's many potholes, cracks in the roadway. Even the sidewalks that were built to even old standard of narrow sidewalks. So one of the big changes we want to do for that area is we want to rebuild the roadway, put some new life into the asphalt, the driving surface, so we avoid those potholes and those poor driving surfaces. And then we're also widening the roadway. This roadway, like I said, is one of our older roadways, but it has very narrow roads. If you've driven through this area and you try to drive right next two-way traffic, same direction, right next to someone, it's pretty tight. If you have a bus next to you, it's even tighter.
Right.
So we're actually widening the lanes there as well to provide more width for vehicle traffic to drive, for them to feel comfortable on the roadways. And we're also widening the sidewalk on the north side. So as I said, some of the sidewalk is an older sidewalk with less than 6 feet. We're actually bringing everything up to a 2.5 meter wide asphalt sidewalk. So if you want to go if you want to walk to the downtown to go to work, to buy groceries, or you want to go for a recreational walk, we have a nice wide sidewalk on the north side now.
It seems like everything, was happening at the same time. Obviously, in Alberta, we only get a few months of warm weather. Is that the reason why, all these projects were happening, at the same time, cutting off, different routes in the city?
If you get a project like Taylor Drive and Ross Street, it's a very significant project. It impacts, and we're talking about 20 to 25,000 people a day that drive through this area here. It's very noticeable. I would say that I think in general we do about the same amount of construction or within the same magnitude of construction yearly, but there's been some high profile jobs that just couldn't wait any longer. 55th Street just needed to get done.
Well, thank you for filling us in on those major projects and answering the questions I'm sure everyone was wondering all summer long. And speaking of future, the snow is here and there'll be more soon. What does snow mean for road construction? Stay tuned and we'll find out.
I do think it's worth it because it's all maintenance. It all helps the community.
I've been on the streets that have been in for 6 months, and there's holes developed in them already.
I just hope all the potholes get fixed. There's a lot of those downtown.
But as long as everybody just keeps happy and let them do what they're doing, would be great.
If there's a speed bump in the road, fix it now, and then eliminate the accident and hazard.
Just hurry up and get it done.
talk about that topic everyone dreads, but like I said, loves talking about, the snow. And in regards to road construction and snow, how do you plan for, 40 centimeters of snow that might fall in one day when you're doing projects like Taylor Drive?
When we design a roadway like Taylor Drive, we do look for all the elements. We do design it with the operation in mind. So in the case of heavy snowstorm, what we'll do is we'll actually ensure that we have enough room so not only the plows can get through and push the snow around, but also they can put it somewhere. So on the Taylor Drive project and the work we're doing this summer, we've actually designed it so that we have nice wide boulevards that the snow can be pushed up onto and can be stored. If it comes really bad and we have many 40 centimeter snowfalls, then we can actually go and clear the snow out of the boulevards and we can keep on piling more snow throughout the winter in those areas.
So when we move into spring and all that snow starts to melt and we're talking about runoff, how is that taken into consideration for all these projects?
Well, something like that we do really plan for. What we do is we are in an urban environment, so we do plan for a collection system. So as the snow melts, it becomes water, it goes to the curb line. From the curbs, it goes to the catch basins, and we collect in underground piping, which eventually goes to the Red Deer River. But before we go to Red Deer River, we try and treat it we try and remove any of the grit, any of the oil sedimentation that might be in the water before we discharge it.
So how do you decide what project gets priority over other projects?
Well, that's a great question. It's not a simple task. There's many factors going into it. Not only do we look at how hard some of our roadways are working, so are they showing signs of distress or in need of repair. We consider the public complaints we get back or public feedback. Where they're noticing that there might be pressures in our system. That's a great indicator for us. But we also take a look at what's happening in the city. What are the future plans? If the land use and the future growth of the city does impact us for doing our priorities. Then at the same time, we also use some testing within the field. So if it's an existing roadway and we're wondering, and we try to prioritize, do we do this roadway over another roadway? We look at things such as its pavement quality index, which looks at its rideability, the amount of potholes it has, the unevenness in the surface, or even how well it deflects under the weight of heavy loads. So scientific means as well as intuitive means and visual observations.
And you touched on something that I'd love to talk about, potholes. Are these new roads that we're going to be able to see at risk for potholes?
Well, a newly constructed roadway should work pretty well before you start seeing potholes. Potholes are an early indicator of a roadway that's beginning to show signs of distress. Every road will degrade to a point being that we do have to rebuild it. Potholes, as I said, are early indicators, so the key is to keep on top of potholes, keep them filled so we prevent any water from getting into the gravels below, and having water freeze and frost action move our roadways and pull it apart. We try to avoid that. So new roadways, you're probably good for, I'd say, into that 8-10 year frame before you start seeing potholes. So
overall, all these new road construction projects, we have good things to look forward to, even though winter is just around the corner.
I think some of the improvements we've seen on 55th Street this year and Taylor Drive, they're going to form quite nicely this winter.
Thank you so much for joining us today and filling us in on everything that matters with road construction. We hope that you've learned something new and have enjoyed the conversation. But the conversation doesn't end here. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter to find out what we're talking about next month. Join in on the conversation using the hashtag WhatMattersRD. I've been your host, Jonna Semple. Thanks for watching.